Hello. If you can tell, I do not feel great. But if you're new here, my name is Chassity. We read a lot of books. We do a lot of things. It's kind of the whole shtick. It is a Monday. And I'm supposed to be editing right now. But I'm sitting at my desk coughing all day. And I don't want to. Editing is making my brain hurt. And I would much rather actually read than edit right now. So I got a new book for my birthday from my friend Ashley by one of my favorite authors, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. I adore Grady Hendrix. I think his horror is funny and super involved and something that I haven't seen before, which is really exciting to me. I recommend How to Sell a Haunted House all of the time. All of the time. I love him. But I'm going in blind. I don't actually know anything about this book. I'm not going to read the back. I'm just going to jump in. I don't know why I'm coughing so much, but let's get into the books, shall we? Okay, guys, so it's been a few days since I've updated you on Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix, and I went into this one completely blind, had no idea what I was signing up for, but knowing Grady Hendrix, I knew it was going to be weird and creepy, and so far he has not disappointed. So I'm on page 195. Here's what I have learned in the last 200 pages. In the 60s, when a teenage girl got pregnant out of wedlock, they would send them to these homes, essentially, because it was so shameful and sinful and just the worst thing on the planet to be an unwed mother. And so these homes existed. You would send your daughters there. They would spend their pregnancy in this strange place with a bunch of people they didn't know, give birth, put the baby up for adoption, and then go home like nothing ever happened. So we are following a young girl named Neva. But when she gets there, she's given a different name because you don't talk about your name, you don't talk about where you're from, and you don't talk about your history. Nothing to identify you to these girls in case they were ever to see you out in public, I guess. She the name that she's given is Fern. And for the first month that she's there, she's very much the outsider. She feels adrift, like she doesn't belong there. Why can't she just go home and be with her family and be with the boy who got her pregnant, who, when she told him, he left, obviously. Men in the 60s apparently were trash. When she finally does make friends, they are her roommates. So Rose is a very fiery, feisty young woman who has decided she is going to keep her baby, which is a big no-no. You have Holly, who is mute. She refuses to speak other than to her stuffed dog, and she isn't even 15. She's still a kid. Then she gets a new roommate, Zinnia, who kind of takes Rose's spot, and Rose moves to the attic. It's a whole thing. But those are her four besties in this little convent. When the rolling library comes through town, this very sweet librarian gives her a book that she hides in her dress to take into this maternity house. I don't really know what to call it. They just call it the home. But it's called How to Be a Groovy Witch. And that's where things start to kind of spiral and turn into a Grady Hendrix novel. Now, I'm a little bit further than that. There are some things happening. Fern is our main character, but we're also not getting points of view, but we are very much invested in Rose, Holly, and Zinnia because they are essentially a new coven. So that being said, I am 40% of the way through this book. I am having a great time. I'm absolutely loving it. It's super psychological and less scary, but I'm going to eat tiramisu and read my little quirky witch book, and I will catch you guys in a few chapters. at page 250 last night before I fell asleep. I'm really hoping to finish the book today. There have been some turns, and I don't know what to say that won't give spoilers, and I don't want to spoil this one. It's so good, but I originally was very much like, oh, this is more on the thriller side, less horror, and then there was a scene with the owner of the house and the cook Hagar in her house, in her private home. I changed my mind. It is in fact horror. Grady Hendrix lives up to his name, and we carry on through the night. But a couple of things. One, I had a job interview this morning. That's why I look like this. Two, I did not sleep, and I have been sick to my stomach all day. So I'm about to lay in bed and read and pretend I'm not a person. And three, I really want egg drop soup from the Chinese place down the street. So, in order of importance, we are going to make the bed so that I can be comfy. We are going to order some egg drop soup and maybe some dumplings and rice noodles. Chef's kiss. And then we're going to read. That's how I think this is going to play out. I don't really have another update for you guys because this book has taken an odd turn that I wasn't expecting. And so far I'm loving it. But I love Grady Hendrix as an author. I went and looked up his Instagram last night because I was like, oh, hey, one of my favorite authors of all time. What's he like as a person? He's a weird dude. That's what he's like as a person. According to his social media presence, he's just a weird guy. And you know what? I'm cool with it. He writes good books. He can be as weird as he wants. Keep on keeping on, my guy. So let's make the bed because that's all the energy I have. And then order dinner. Lunch? What time is it? Oh my God, it's only 11 in the morning. It's been days since I last picked up Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. I could not leave my apartment today. Therefore, I stayed home, which means it is the perfect opportunity to try and finish this book. I am a little over halfway done. So the goal is to simply finish this book today. But in other news, as of this video coming out, I no longer work for Walmart. I work for a company where I get to sit at a desk and listen to audiobooks. So I will be able to read more books in this upcoming year. I'm very excited. I get off at a decent time. I get weekends free. My mental health will be better. My physical health hopefully will be better. We are excited. But that being said, let's hop into Grady Hendrix again. Oh God, one of my favorite novelists. Guys, I'm on page 321, and I think the witches are going to get in the house. It's about to get real scary. So, I don't want anything to crawl out from under the bed and get my feet. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Guys, I finished Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. Hello. And as per usual, Grady Hendrix hit it out of the park. Another 5-star read. He is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. Okay, so about the book. So in Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, you are following Fern and her friends that she meets at this unwed mother's home, Rose, Zinnia, and Holly. All of them are given fake names of plants because the person who runs the home considers them her garden of blooming flowers. The whole concept of this particular home is unwed, pregnant teenage girls go, have their baby, give them away, and leave. it's like it never really happened. We can just forget about it. When Fern meets a rolling librarian who gives her a very special book that teaches her and her friends how to do magic. Now, it's not any type of magic. It is witchcraft. And throughout this book, I was reminded of all the times that my mom told me that witchcraft was bad when I was growing up, because when it comes to magic, everything has a price and not all prices are worth the risk. Now, I don't want to give away too much of the book or spoil the ending for anybody who might want to read this, because I absolutely recommend it. I love Grady Hendrix as a horror novelist. Such a good author. I will be reading more of his stuff. Essentially, the price that Fern is given is herself, her life, to be what she thinks is free. But you have to remember, all these girls are 14, 15. Like, they're young. They're children. They're babies. They're given this impossible choice. And there are a couple of moments where the girls want to keep their babies. They want to keep their children, and they're kind of manipulated by the adults in this world and in this setting that they're unfit. They won't be able to give their children any kind of life, that they'll be social pariahs, which at the time, this is set in the 70s, is very much the case. I absolutely love this. I think that at the core of this story, it was about like the friendships. I would even call it the coven that Fern found in the women at the home, and these women who became her support system in a very hard time in her life before she was sent home. And these young girls having to make adult decisions without help, essentially. All of the adults in their life were awful people, like just horrible. Even when you go with one of the girls to have her baby, the way that the hospital treats her because she's an unwed mother is very like harsh and disrespectful and traumatizing, to say the very least. I was so like hurt for them in that moment. But all that to say, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls is definitely a 5-star read. I absolutely loved it, and it's going on my shelf in its place of honor next to my other Grady Hendrix novels. But what are we reading next, you may ask? That, my friends, kind of in a similar vein, that one is Wayward by Emily Hart. This one is our book club pick for this month. Every month I do a book club with some of my friends that also work in pharmacy. It's called The Book Farm, and I have a week to read this. Wayward by Emily Hart. They call us witches, we call ourselves wayward. So kind of the same vein, which I think is funny because it was unplanned. Witchcraft for Wayward Girls was a birthday gift back in February, and then this was our book club pick for March. So I think it's very funny. But what is this one about? 2019, under the cover of darkness, Kate flees London for Wayward Cottage. Inherited from a great aunt she barely remembers, with its tumbling ivy and overgrown garden, the cottage is worlds away from the abusive partner who tormented Kate. But she begins to suspect that her great aunt had a secret, one that lurks in the bones of the cottage, hidden ever since the witch hunts of the 17th century. 1619, Altha is awaiting trial for the murder of her local farmer who has stampeded to death by his herd. When Altha was a girl, her mother taught her their magic, one rooted in a deep knowledge of the natural world. But unusual women have always been deemed dangerous, and as the evidence for the witchcraft is set out against Altha, she knows it will take all her powers to maintain her freedom. 1942, as World War II rages, Violet is trapped in her family's grand, crumbling estate. Straitjacketed by societal convention, she longs for the robust education her brother receives, and for her mother, long deceased, who was rumored to have gone mad before her death. The only traces Violet has of her are a locket bearing the initial W and the word wayward scratched into the baseboard of her bedroom. Weaving together the stories of 3 extraordinary women across 5 centuries, Wayward is an enthralling novel of feminine resilience and the transformative power of the natural world. For some reason, I was under the impression that Wayward was a cozy witchy book, and I'm getting the feeling that it's going to be a lot more harrowing, maybe is the word I'm looking for, but Wayward by Amelia Hart. It is such a beautiful day outside. All the windows are open. I think I'm going to take my drinky drink and go sit outside on the porch in the sunshine. Oh, I'm from Texas. I was not built for the cold. If it's going to snow, that's fine. If it's not going to snow, it shouldn't be cold. That is my official statement. Okay, guys, it's been a couple of days. I'm not gonna lie, but I finally reached part 2 of Wayward by Amelia Hart. And so far, I'm actually really loving it. The witchiness of it is very subtle. They're kind of discovering who they are. The only person who actually knows what's going on is Altha, the original Wayward daughter from 1619. We are following her through her trial. She's been accused of casting a spell on one of her childhood friend's husbands and causing his death. Beyond that, we're also following Violet in 1942. She doesn't know her mother. Her mother died when she was very young, and she doesn't really know what Wayward is. She found it etched in the... What's the thing next to your floorboard? What's the thing on your floorboard? That thing. The white thing.
Baseboard?
Baseboard. Thank you. I literally was like, what is that word? She finds the word wayward scratched into the baseboard behind a dresser, which is leading her on this discovery of who her mother could have been. Nobody will really tell her anything, and her father's not very kind to her because she likes to be outside and climb trees and all of the things that are too masculine for a young woman in the early 1900s. And then we're also following Kate. I love Kate. Kate is actually the great niece of Violet, who has inherited her house and is also kind of figuring out what wayward means. She's never really heard it before. She is leaving her abusive boyfriend in London, kind of hiding away in this old cottage when she finds out that she is pregnant. Now, what does that mean for Kate? What does that mean for their histories, and how are they all kind of connected? There is this overarching theme of crows and insects. I don't know how insects can come into this, but I kind of understand the crow part. It's probably a familiar of some sort, but like, why bugs? Anyway, I'm having a great time. I am officially on page 149 out of 387, I think it was when I looked last. So I'm going to get back to reading, and I will catch you guys at the next update, probably at part 3. We're going to interrupt our regularly scheduled update. I am still reading Wicked. I'm about 50% through, but I don't have it on audiobook, so I have to physically read that one. But I needed something to listen to at work today, and I was kind of tired of listening to podcasts, so I started our book club book, which was Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. 5 stars. I finished it today. I started it this morning. I came home and I finished it while I ate dinner. And first, let me tell you what this book is about. Wild Dark Shores, you are following multiple POVs. You have a woman who washed up on the shore of this island, kind of in between Tanzania and the Antarctic, where there's like a research facility, and they've got this like seed storage for like plants and animals across the world. It was supposed to be like a scientific research center. And you also have this family, Dominic, who is the father, Raph, the oldest son, Finn, the middle girl, and then Orly, the youngest boy, who's like 9. And you are with this family while Rowan is trying to find her husband, who is supposed to be a researcher on this island and has kind of gone missing when everyone packs up and leaves. He supposedly went on the ship and just abandoned her. And Dominic is trying to deal with his wife, who has been dead for 9 years. He is still talking to her ghost and living in this deep guttural grief. And he has lost connection with kind of all 3 of his children because of tragedies in the last several months of their life on this island that they've been on for 9 years. This book is devastating and beautiful, and you almost don't get to catch your breath from the hits that just keep coming. And I loved every moment of it, which sounds crazy, but I literally spent the last 20 minutes, I spent the last 20 minutes of this audiobook just sobbing. Jeez, pull it together. It does not end at all how I had anticipated it. I had no sense of what was coming next or what this story was, and Charlotte McConaughey really knocked it out of the park. It was beautifully written, and the ghosts that live on this island and their superstitions and the grief and the longing and the lost and this found family, because not only do you see the redemption between Dominic and his children, but Rowan coming out of her own grief from her childhood and forgiving not only herself but her family from things that went wrong. And you don't know what's going to happen at any moment at any page of this book, and I simply could not stop listening to it. It was incredible, and I loved it with my whole chest. That being said, I might need a couple more hours to simply cry, because geez Louise, 5 stars, incredible book, can't recommend it enough. Okay guys, I did in fact finish Wayward by Amelia Hart. I loved this book. I thought it was so good. It was, I thought, gripping. It was beautifully written, in my opinion. You follow 3 women in 3 different generations of kind of coming into themselves. There is a lot of generational trauma, I think, that it speaks to. I will say, I saw some of the ratings and reviews on FABLE, and there was a lot of people who would have preferred to have a trigger warning. That being said, I think you should look up some trigger warnings if you're going to read this book. There is a topic of assault. There is toxic relationships. Literally, one of them is running from her abusive boyfriend. There's some things of that nature in this book, but I think that she did it really well. But I think that the overarching theme of women finding power in themselves and standing up for themselves and breaking out of preordained boxes for themselves was very beautiful and very well written. So, Wayward by Amelia Hart, I gave 5 stars. I loved it. Also, I've been seeing the conversation around how we're rating our books, and I don't know about you guys, but I just go off vibes. Everything starts at a 4 star, and if it wows me, it gets 5, and if it doesn't, it drops tiers from there. But yeah, I go off vibes. But that was kind of just a mood reading vlog for you guys. That's just kind of what I was feeling. Everything ended up being very witchy, which was not the intent, but we're happy to be here. We had a good time, and if you want to see more videos like this, you can go ahead and like this video. If you want to come along with me and my friends and all of our reading adventures, you can go ahead and subscribe. If you hit the little bell icon, you'll be notified every time that I post. And I'll see you guys in the acknowledgements. Bye.